Hello everybody, welcome back, doing some modern deck magic. Deck. Anyway, so, this deck I'm calling Devil Burn, because it's sort of a burn deck, but it's an interesting burn deck. It's also similar to a deck that you played a little while ago, but it's a little more on the early drop side. Named after Vexing Devil here. I'm not really sure why he's here, but whatever. Vexing Devil, 1 mana, 4/3. When it enters the battlefield, any opponent may have it deal 4 damage to him or her. If a player does, you have to sacrifice Vexing Devil. The thing about that is, we kind of want them to... Normally you want to stick the Devil because having a 4/3 as a 1-drop is pretty good. But we actually want our opponent to take the 4 and let this hit our graveyard because we have so many ways to get it back. So that's sort of the core of this deck, is trying to rebuy Vexing Devil as much as possible, and if they just let you have it, well, it's 4/3. It's pretty good. They can attack probably twice.
Potentially, yeah. Or they burn a removal spell on it and then you reanimate it anyway.
Yeah, so tons of ways to rebuy this. I'm actually going to go over those first because a lot of them are cheap. Unearth, of course. Unearth's just great.
Yeah, 3 or less.
Yep. Cycle if you got nothing else going on. Claim, I'm running 3 of these. So it's return target creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less, which is a lot of things, but it's not everything. So
yeah,
it's only 3.
And mostly, again, Vexing Devils.
Mostly just the Devil. But Fame is also sort of useful. We do have flyers, tramplers, stuff like that the pump could actually be useful for late game.
If they choose to keep the Vexing Devil around, then you can Fame it, and it's like a lose-lose for them. Pretty
well. The haste doesn't matter a lot, but for Vexing Devil it's great. So then we have 3 Postmortem Lunge. So this is a sorcery from New Phyrexia, so you can pay a Phyrexian black and X to return target creature card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, exile it at the beginning of your next end step. So Postmortem Lunge is not amazing with Vexing Devil. It does give it haste, but if Vexing Devil does make it to the end step, then it does get exiled. It is worth noting this card has old wording, so it's not if it would be put into a graveyard, exile it. It's just at the beginning of the end step, exile it. So if you are using Postmortem Lunge on any of these other creatures, like for instance Lightning Skelemental, you can stack it so that it never actually gets exiled.
Yeah, so basically this would be underneath this, so you stack it to this, and then that one's like, oh, I don't see it anymore, I can't exile.
Yeah, which is great. And essentially for something that you can just pay life as the actual mana cost for, it's like you're just playing whatever your best creature in your graveyard is. It's sweet.
Yeah, for 2 life, you're just casting it from the graveyard.
Yeah. And then we have 1 Stir the Grave. I actually wanted this to be 2 and 2, but I could only find one of these in town. It's another old card. Betrayer's of Kamigawa, I think. But basically it's Postmortem Lunge minus the Phyrexian. But it says return target creature card with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to play. No other clause, so it doesn't get haste. Yeah,
and it sticks around.
So. Yeah, but it does stick around, which with Vexing Devil's good. With these other ones, it doesn't really matter, but still sweet. So we'll go over the other creatures now, since I have been talking about them. We have 2 Spark Elementals, so it's a 3/1 trample haste. At the beginning of your end step, you have to sacrifice it. So it's like poor man's Vexing Devil, sort of. And then we have 4 Hellspark Elemental, so this is Spark Elemental, but it also has Unearth for 2 mana, and it costs 1 more, of course. And then we have 4 Hell's Thunder, a lot of hell. So this is flying haste. At the end of turn, you have to sacrifice it, and it unearths for 5. So pretty good if your opponent has like the board gummed up, or any first striker, honestly. Then that's a pretty good one. And then another MVP, Lightning Skelemental. It's a ball lightning, basically, but when it hits, they have to discard 2 cards, which is backbreaking.
It really can be.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yep, so then other cards, just rounding this thing out, we have 3 Collective Brutality, so just decent card. It has a burn type mechanism, so you can drain your opponent for 2, which is nice, but realistically, we do want to be discarding some of these cards. If you collect a Brutality to get a Vexing Devil in your graveyard, well, did you really discard? I don't know. Or any of these Unearth guys, basically. So, pretty good. And then 1 Kolaghan's Command, so another one of those has a million modes cards, but I just had one in here because we had a foil promo.
We have the nice
That'd
shiny
be pretty
one,
cool.
but
Yeah.
It does. If you follow up, like if you rebuy a Lightning
Mm-hmm.
Skelemental and make them discard, it's just like your opponent never gets a hand again.
Oh yeah. It's definitely weaker returning the card to your hand than straight to the battlefield, like a lot of these other ones
But
do.
again,
but-
like for Vexing Devil, it's 1 mana, so it's not a huge investment for that, and it can always like pick off problematic cards or just make them discard when you have nothing better.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. And then we have it's a burn deck, so 4 Lightning Bolt, of course, and it's a black deck as well, so 4 Fatal Push. The funny thing about Fatal Push is we're almost always getting Revolt. with
Yeah,
this.
like one of your creatures is dying at the end step,
Yeah.
so you can always follow it up with that.
So pretty inexpensive cards, very very fast type of deck. And then we have just a bunch of lands, which I'll just say them, but there's nothing fancy about them. 4 Blackcleave Cliffs, 4 Bloodstained Mire, 4 Blood Crypt, 2 Dragon Skull Summit, 1 Wooded Foothills, 2 Mountain, 1 Swamp, and 1 Herborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. So, that is Double Burn.